you can't hide anything. There's no point trying to hold anything back or do something different or try and be a different personality. It's the Ryder Cup. It's the most pressure you're ever going to be under, I'm guessing, and whoever you are, that will just come out on the 3 days.
And do you feel that you'll mesh with a player of similar style to that, or one opposite maybe that keeps things calm at times?
Very good question. I don't know. I know that I'm quite an easy guy to put with most people, really, and that's, I know there's plenty of the guys that I would love to play with, and I think it's, Thomas's job to put the guys together. But for me, there's literally, there's no preference, and I mean, I'll be there for the team, and I'll do whatever's necessary, really.
Got a microphone, one on the right-hand side, John.
On that, Tommy, do you know who you're playing with this morning, or what?
This morning, yeah, it's me, Fran, Pultz, and Tyrrell. We're all doing the media this morning and then going out later. Whether that's any indication or not for the rest of the week, we don't know, but I'm sure it gets tossed around quite a lot. But it'll be a nice morning, nice Tuesday morning.
Got a microphone forward, Todd at the back.
Tommy, Jim Furyk said that he's very concerned that his guys, and some of them have not even seen this golf course, they need to learn the Golf National, considering you and your teammates have played here so frequently. Is that a mental advantage come Friday?
It's difficult when it's, when it's the best players in the world and we play on golf courses week in, week out where we have to learn a new golf course. So it's difficult to say how much of an advantage it'll be. It can only be a good thing, or it can't do any harm that we know the course better or we've played it more times. And yeah, there are certain parts of it. I mean, I played the French Open 4 times and didn't do any good, and then on the 5th time I won. So knowledge can only be a good thing, but whether it'll make a massive difference, maybe it's a little advantage, but like I say, it's the best players in the world that are out here, so it's not something to look at too much.
I'm going to go Ewan on microphone 2.
Tommy, when you won here in 2016, would it be fair to say that was the first time that it really occurred to you about seriously becoming a Ryder Cup player, that became an ambition that was uppermost in your mind?
The points hadn't started yet, but I think at the time when I won, it was the race to Dubai that was at the front of my mind, and the Ryder Cup points hadn't started yet. I'd say last year was it was a breakout year for me after struggling for a little bit, and all of a sudden I'd got myself to that point where I was one of the top European golfers again. So the Ryder Cup was hopefully a natural progression somewhere where I expected to be come this time, but you never know. And I think when you look at the strength of the team, there is at no point was it sort of a given or easy that you're going to be in the team, and for sure this is one of the strongest European sides ever, so to be in it is a massive compliment to what you've achieved over the last year or so. But I've always wanted to be a Ryder Cup player. I've always watched it and always wanted to be there, but I just haven't played well enough in the past.
Go to mic 3 in the front, please.
Tommy, you've had a while to think about this and talk to maybe some of the other recent rookies in the European team, Fitz or Woody. Have you had any rookie insights from other recent rookies? Apart from the first tee wobbles, obviously.
No, actually. Playing in America a bit more this year, the guys that I've sort of spent time with are the guys that have played it a lot. Apart from Alex and Tyrrell, who have been out, so that's us being together as rookies. But I've leaned on guys that have more experience, really. GMAT, Poulter, Rory, Rosie, Henrik, those guys that I've played a lot of golf with this year. Kind of lent on them a bit more to get advice and to get a feel for how it is. And the truth is, they all try, but they all say you can't describe it, and you can't. There's no way of knowing how you feel until you get to that first tee, and it's the most nervous you'll ever be. So then it's up to you to embrace it and deal with it.
I'm going to go microphone 1, Stephen, please.
Just about that first tee shot, Pultz just said it's the most nerve-wracking tee shot you'll play in golf. Have you sort of envisaged gone through it in your mind and envisaged how you're going to feel, and how do you think you'll feel when you go into it?
Yeah, well, the number one thing I've pictured since the Ryder Cup kind of became a goal is that first tee shot. That's been front and centre in my mind, and when I've thought about the Ryder Cup in Paris especially, I've thought about that first tee shot, standing on that first tee and being a Ryder Cup member and playing for that team and hitting that tee shot and what that's going to be like. So I've thought about it plenty, but again, nothing prepares you for the real thing. And the grandstand's pretty big. It's no denying that. But looking forward to it. It's something that everybody wants in their career. So as nerve-wracking as it is, and whatever those feelings are, everybody wants that in their life. So you have to just take it on and let it all happen.
Microphone 2 at the back, John.
Tommy, have you talked to Pep about the Ryder Cup? Is he coming over and
to
Pep Guardiola?
Oh yeah, yeah. He was one of, like, we all have these videos in the room, these motivational videos, and he was one of the guys that sent a message to me. I'm not sure whether he's coming over. Obviously, I'm sure he's busy at the weekend, but he might make it over. But we talk quite a lot. Both busy in our respected jobs. But we talk a lot, and he's somebody that's great to know. He's obviously been part of a team for a long time. He was at the Ryder Cup in Medina, and that was one of the, he'll always mention that's one of the greatest times he's had in his life, was being at that Ryder Cup. And, it was a very special time. So he holds, as a special place in his heart, the Ryder Cup, and he's been very supportive through the whole thing. And, maybe we'll see him. I don't know. I don't know when Man City's next match is, whether it's Saturday or Sunday.
Going to microphone 3, Doug.
First of all, Tommy, are you wearing a hat this week?
Yeah, I have to. Otherwise, it's going to be flopping in my eyes, so it'll be no good.
Very good. Second, as I was thinking about the closing stretch here, from your experience on various courses and moments, have you found it easier when the pressure's at its greatest? Is it easier to make a birdie on an easy hole or a par on a hard one?
There's different types of pressure, and sometimes when it's a good question, but I think it depends on the situation. So when it's in your hands, I think it's harder to make a par, and when you're chasing, I think it's easier to make a birdie, whichever that pressure situation is. I think the last few holes here in particular are tough holes, but I think the one good thing about this closing stretch is no matter how nervous you are, there's no bailout on any of the holes. You have to stand up and you have to hit a golf shot. So there's not, in general, when you sort of get when the pressure's at its most, you can bail out one side. You're going to stand up on these holes and there's nowhere to go. So you have to either hit a good shot or you're in trouble. And I've always thought that closing stretch, that's the one good thing about it, is that you have no other option other than to try and hit a good shot.
So, Mike, through Tim.
Tommy, when you were a kid growing up in Southport, did you ever attend a Ryder Cup? And if you did, do you have any stories to tell?
No, I've never been to a Ryder Cup in my life, so this is my first experience of it all. I've only ever watched it on TV.
Why? As far as the Belfry being so close, did you never think about doing it?
As a kid, we probably couldn't afford tickets. That's probably the simple answer. And just never been. Like, I honestly didn't get to travel to that many golf tournaments as a youngster. I went the Open when it was in Southport or Lytham, but that was that one sort of special time that I got to go and watch a golf tournament. So Ryder Cups or anything else were kind of out of the equation. It was down to watching it on the TV.
Across the microphone.
Tommy, Ian said in his press conference that he'd climbed to the top of that stand to have a look down the first. I wondered, did you go with him, or do you plan to go up there?
No, we only arrived yesterday, so I haven't been anywhere near it. Might not be a bad idea. Yeah, I might like to have a look. It's the biggest grandstand you'll ever see at a golf tournament so far, so I think it would be nice to go up and have a look down the first fairway. Very special, something that, like I said, you've never seen before, and something that there's not been. So it's great, really. Look, when we were driving past it on the way to having the photo shoot today, you just look at it and you think, yeah, it's pretty good.
Got a microphone too, Rick, I think.
Tommy, you were tweeting the other day that Tiger's performance was the greatest comeback in sport. Do you think there's a way that it could actually have a galvanising effect for Europe? You know, the fact that he's playing so well and there's so much fuss about him.
I might have got carried away in the moment a little bit, but I think it's up there definitely. You know, look, honestly, on Sunday, I think you literally had to get lost in that moment that was happening, and I was stood on the balcony. I got to watch Rosie 2 put and win the FedEx Cup. Couldn't have been happier for that man, you know, and then watch Tiger win on his comeback, and that, you know, in the space of that 10 minutes, it was just such a great time in golf, and I really thought it was amazing. And yeah, you know, you're watching something very, very special. That was Sunday. This week's this week. I think it makes no difference to us at all. Tiger's been playing great for a while, and I don't think it wasn't a shock to anybody that he won. So it's not like it came out of the blue and all of a sudden, you know, Tiger's won and we're worrying about that. There's 12 of us playing, and we'll all concentrate on what we're doing. But amazing. It's amazing for golf, and it was amazing to watch. It really was, and I really did appreciate that moment. But it's gone now. I've got it on video, and that'll do. I'll watch it again sometime, but not this week.
Microphone 4 in the middle, please.
With all this talk about pressure being unlike any other this week, has there been a moment in your career when you've been overwhelmed in a pressure situation, and what you might have learned from that?
I was a bit overwhelmed when my wife was giving birth. I mean, what I can take from that into the Ryder Cup, I'm not sure. But that was probably the most overwhelmed I've been in a pressure situation, and I got told off for shouting too much, so I might try and keep it down a little bit this week. Look, like, this is what we practice for and what we play for week in, week out, and the best piece of advice that definitely Poulter's given me. Rory says the same thing. He says it's the most pressure you'll ever feel. You know, whatever nerves you've felt up to now, times it by 10, and that's what you have. He says, but this is what you want, and this is what we play for. He said, so embrace it, take it all in, and that, you know, that's what you've got to remember. It's not like as daunting as it can be. It's not I mean, come on, it's not a chore to be playing in the Ryder Cup. It's the greatest thing you'll ever do in your career, and I'm very excited about whatever those feelings are. If it goes good or bad, I really hope it goes well, because I want to play well for the team. I want us to win the Ryder Cup. I want to do well for Thomas and all, you know, everybody that's involved. If it goes bad, then it'll be a massive learning experience, but that's not something I'm sort of worried about right now. Just whatever we can do for the team, we do, and it's massively different. You're here with, I mean, there's 12 players, captain, there's the vice captains, there's the backroom staff, and there's the whole continent behind you. There's a lot of you in this together, so I think, good or bad, you're going to get carried through it all week.
Okay, Tommy, well, we'll let you go. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, very delighted to be joined by Francesco Molinari. Francesco, welcome to the Ryder Cup.
Thank you.
Your first Ryder Cup since 2012, the Medina, Miracle of Medina. Just give us your thoughts on being back in the team this week.
Yeah, it's great to be back, obviously. It's not the nicest feeling to watch you from home, so I've worked really hard to get back here, and I can't